You're listening to the Racing Virginia podcast. Now, here are your hosts.
I'm Dave C.
And I am Brandon Brown. Still not a NASCAR driver. Not that guy.
Hey, that's okay.
It is okay.
It's okay.
A lot of people aren't NASCAR drivers.
Nope. Got a great show for you. We really do, folks.
Yeah, we always do.
Going to do something a little different with Randy Hallman today.
That's all right.
We're going to discuss the Kansas race a little bit.
Okay.
He needs our help with his column.
have we elevated ourselves to that status now? That we get to weigh in on these certain topics?
He said he wanted to get our opinions so he could, work on his column.
That's cool. All right.
I'll take it.
Works for me.
And we're going to talk with Gray Gaulding.
Yes, sir.
He's from Colonial Heights, Virginia. So we're going to have hopefully a lengthy discussion with him.
Yeah.
There's just so much to talk about with him.
And there was so much that I didn't know about him until I started doing a little research about all of those milestones of when he was this age. He did this when he was this age. He was on, he's been on a trajectory. Like a rocket. Yep. And
sometimes when you go too fast, sometimes it's not what you expect it to be.
Yeah, but he's still really young.
Oh yeah. I keep forgetting that.
Yeah, because
I really do.
He's been around and been making headlines for so long, for about 10 years now, really, in terms of NASCAR National Series stuff, that you forget that he's a young kid still.
That's what kind of throws me for a loop.
Yep.
Is that he is still young.
He
pulled a double at the Roval.
Yeah. When you're young, you can just do that stuff. Your body recovers. It's fine. I couldn't.
He pulled a double at the Roval.
That's
first of all, he had
practice.
He had no practice, but he also had to he raced for Mike Harmon, racing in the '74 during the torrential downpour.
Oh my gosh, we got to talk to him about what that was like.
And then Rick Ware racing is the number 27. He's been in that ride on and off throughout the season. So a lot to talk about. Kansas.
Yeah.
In fact, that's what Randy wants to talk to us about.
Yeah.
Kansas. But it was a good race.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what
I'm not going to
talk about that here in a little bit. Like, how about we talk about some local stuff?
How about we had some cold temperatures?
Yeah, we did.
But VMP got their deal in.
Yeah, they did.
Okay, and they've got a big PDRA World Finals this weekend.
And not necessarily if you know drag racing, you know that there's a sweet spot of temperature. When it's cold, you can't run.
No, temperature, humidity, too damp on the racetrack.
But they got it in, and hopefully they can get in the next one.
Yeah, they're just starting a little earlier, I believe, is what's happening. Yeah. Langley champions were crowned.
Yeah, they got a few more coming next weekend, or this coming weekend. But Brendan Butterbean Queen, the Hampton Heat winner, taking home the track championship, his first track championship at Langley. And I wanted to get your thoughts on this.
I want to smack myself because I didn't keep up with the points as much as I should have there.
That's all right.
I didn't know that he was in the lead going.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's been just ridiculously consistent all year long, but hasn't won a race. And I talked to our buddy Vaughn Crittenden last night, and he said it's pretty rare that happens. But I wanted to see, with your extensive knowledge of racing, how many times have you seen that happen? No wins, but a track championship.
Well, I've seen it in a national champ, in Dale Earnhardt Jr. Yeah. Not junior, senior.
Yeah.
I've seen it there, and I've seen it at I think South Boston. I know we've had at least one time where it's happened at Virginia Motor Speedway. But if that happens, usually that guy doesn't have a DNF ever. Okay. And that person also is averaging probably top 5 every week. If they're going to do it.
Yeah. Because you have to. You have to be ridiculously consistent. If you're not up there winning races, like you can't be having bad runs.
Look, everybody pulls their suits on one leg at a time.
Yeah.
Heck, it's cool.
Yeah. Plus, he got the Hampton Heat win, too, which is not a points race.
I'm not going to take anything away from him just because he didn't win a weekly race.
No, absolutely not. Like, I just wanted to get your thoughts on
let's
that
be
rare
honest.
occurrence
let's
of
be
it
honest.
happening.
Let's look at the amount of competition that's come in this year compared to others.
Yeah, it's been great.
Josh Berry, Peyton Sellers. I mean, just those two right there.
Racing for a national championship.
Yeah, they're going to take away some wins from somebody.
Yep. Yeah, because Peyton normally runs
South Boston.
Yep. Yeah. Obviously, they weren't running this year, so they got to run somewhere.
And, of course, not much racing in Carolina. That's why Josh Berry was going wherever he could, especially if they had twins. I noticed that both him and Peyton, if someone had a twin race, they were going there because, obviously you have two chances to pick up two wins on one weekend.
Yeah, absolutely.
But congratulations to him, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
I mean, he's a cool dude.
I got to talk to him for the first time when he won the Hampton Heat, which was awesome. What a race that was. But no, very, very cool. And they're going to have, I think Vaughn said, 8 more champions crowned this coming weekend over at Langley, and had some great racing around the area as well. You were talking about cold temperatures.
Yes.
Just a little bit ago.
Still cold.
It's still cold. And it's going to get colder.
Yeah, it's going to warm up this week.
Okay. I mean, and just in general that's going to dip. And it reminded me of what people always ask me when I worked at Chicagoland and when here in Richmond. Yeah. What do you do in the wintertime? There's no racing going on in the wintertime. Do you work another full-time job during the wintertime?
Well, I mean, there are some that do that, but for most of us that are full-time here in the state, like at Langley and at Dominion and Virginia, me at Virginia Motor Speedway, it's usually the busiest time of the year. Yeah. I mean, literally. I mean, you are, making changes to the track, fixing things that are broke. You're looking for sponsors. You're booking special events. I mean, it gets busy. I mean, there's for us at Virginia Motor Speedway, there's like a 2-week spot where we don't have anything, and that's from Christmas to New Year's.
Yep. A nice break.
Other than that,
your summer
is,
vacation.
Yeah, yeah. Other than that, it is. I mean, rock on.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. Like, it's funny that you're thinking, it's like, man, I'm doing all this preparation, and people don't think they think I'm sitting on my butt doing nothing.
Oh, that's what everybody tells me.
Yeah.
Oh, what are you doing now? Well, why can't you just, do something else?
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to. Yeah, I know you're trying to. You're calling potential partners and sponsors and setting up deals for the next year. I'm sure.
That's the hardest part about this COVID. Is talking with your sponsors. For us, we didn't have a race season.
Yep.
And all of our sponsors that we had for this year understood.
Yep.
They really did. And it's not like we took their money. We said, look, we're not racing this year, so guess what? You don't have to pay us.
Yep.
Even though we tried to still give them some value on our social media channels throughout the year.
Absolutely. And then that's what we did at Richmond and here in the Mid-Atlantic region for NASCAR as well. So
yeah, but
that's what you got to do.
Finding new sponsors, that's the difficult part.
Because of the uncertainty. You can't guarantee what's going to happen next year like you would normally. You would say.
I would like to say right now, oh, hey, man, next April 7th is opening week.
Would you like to put your name on
We can say that, but...
Yeah, but you can't guarantee it like you would in a normal year.
Well, most of the time I can give them like 90% guarantee.
Okay.
Because of weather.
Yeah.
But
that's true. That's true.
But I mean, it's usually the busiest time of year for everybody. It really is. Not to mention you're trying to reload the energy that you displaced throughout the season, because you know as well as I do. I mean, racing is not for the lighthearted.
No,
it is a tough job.
It's a lot of uncertainty in holding races and putting on events.
Yeah, it's stress.
Yep. Oh yeah.
People
weird schedule.
Weird schedule. Yeah. But I mean, you're also working and I know a lot of people work 6 days a week, but you know, like for me on a Saturday, I'm in the office at 8, and I don't leave. I'll get home and sometimes 2, 3 in the morning.
Yeah, because the race isn't over till almost midnight sometimes.
Well, we try to get over about 10:30, but still, like me, I'm kind of OCD. I like I like to get the press release out the night.
Well, that's what I mean. Like all the stuff that you've got to be doing post race, points, press release,
you know, for
video, photo, whatever.
For our guys cleaning up the the equipment, getting the our track superintendent has to knock the top off the racetrack so it doesn't harden up too much. You can't get it off. But yeah, I mean, this is the busiest time of year. It really is.
Crazy stuff.
People don't believe me. You believe me.
I believe you. I definitely believe you. Speaking of busy, our friends at Martinsville are going to be busy here in a couple weeks. 3 races, 3 championship cutoff races. They will decide the championship 4 definitively for each NASCAR National Series, Truck Xfinity Cup Series. That's going to be fun. Limited fans in the stands. You know, came out that's only going to be 1,000 in the stands, which, that's it's unfortunate, but at least somebody, some of the great fans here in Racing Virginia get to watch those cutoff race or the at least the Cup cutoff race, which is good.
I got at least have a few people in there. I mean, that's nice.
Yeah. Some of the more dedicated. Some of
me, everybody here in Racing Virginia, everybody in the Mid-Atlantic region for NASCAR would have loved to seen a packed house, but it's not the case. It ain't there yet. You see a lot of the other sports are starting to fill in here and there, but I have noticed that nobody's really going all out with the fan base.
No, I think they the one that
the baseball with the cutouts is killing me.
That's hilarious. I love that. Yeah, I was watching the game, the Braves and Dodgers game last night.
Brent.
They had sorry, Brent. I didn't have a dog in that fight. I am rooting for the Rays in the World Series though.
I was
the underdog Rays for the World Series.
I was rooting for the Braves, even though they broke our heart here in Richmond and decided to pack up their AAA team and head to Georgia. I still like to pull for them.
Yep.
But the old Richmond Braves days, man, that was good. That was good stuff.
Yeah, I wasn't here for that, unfortunately.
But hey, flying squirrels are awesome.
I love me some flying. I got my flying squirrels hat on now too. Yeah.
You do.
I grew up going to Frederick Keys and Hagerstown Suns minor league baseball games.
There you go.
Yeah, I got to see. I got a Bryce Harper, Hagerstown Suns foul ball that I still have this day. I need to get him to sign it sometime.
Should have got him to sign it back then.
I know. That's hilarious.
She might be worth a little bit.
Oh man, we had we're going to talk about Kansas.
Yep.
Let's talk about Racing Virginia at Kansas. Rough one for a lot of the guys.
Yeah.
Denny hit the wall.
Yep.
Finished 15th. Had a car that was top 5 car. But
he has to be careful.
Yeah, he's only 20 up now. Like if he gets wrecked at Texas, first lap of the race, he's out. Like he's out past the cut line.
I know he's not a race in Virginia, but Chase Elliott, as good as he's been, he's below the cut line.
Yeah, he is. That's what
because
happens.
Joey Logano won from 5th.
Yep,
and he jumped right to
him to the top.
To the top.
And now there's 3 spots left, and
I think the only person that's got it really wrapped up to go in there, other than Joey because he won, is Kevin Harvick.
Yeah. If say you see Kurt Busch wins next week, and Alex Bowman wins at Martinsville, just hypothetically speaking, you're going to have Joey Logano, Alex Bowman. Yeah. Who did I just say? Kurt Busch and Kevin Harvick as your championship 4. Very unlikely group.
Yeah. But, and then you go to Phoenix, and then it's
game on.
Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano.
Yeah, and it's going to be the low downforce package there, which is going to be good too. It's going to be entertaining. Let's see who else we got. Matt DiBenedetto with the Wood Brothers. He's coming back to the 21 car next year. That's cool.
I was so happy for him.
That was their when they announced that was their biggest liked tweet of all time.
It was I don't know. There's a part of me that feels so bad though, because he knows that there's possibility he's going to have another ride after that. You know, a lot of it has to do what what happens at Penske.
Yeah, well,
because Austin Cindric got signed, obviously,
and he's going to be filling in 2021 to the 21 car.
Well,
no, the 2022. Sorry, 2022 and the 21 car.
But that could change because Brad Keselowski only signed a 1-year deal. Mm-hmm. So who knows what's going to happen after that?
We don't. We absolutely don't.
So, I mean,
Matt, I want to see him get. I want to see Matt get that 100th win for the Wood Brothers. Yeah. He's been this close.
How cool would that be at Martinsville?
Wouldn't it? Oh man, that would be perfect. That would be absolutely perfect.
But yeah, if he could roll off 2-3 wins next year.
It'd be fantastic.
Then I think he has a better shot at staying with Penske somewhere, or at least landing a quality ride somewhere. Because he's a good dude. He works so hard on social media. He works, and he's a hell of a driver.
Hell of a driver. Hell of a person. Great person. I've got to talk to him in person a few times. Just a great dude, and hopefully he lands somewhere. I mean, the influx of teams now. You've got the Jordan Hamlin team starting. Yep. You had Justin Marks coming in with his new team, and potentially even more new blood coming in with the new car. That might open up some doors for him to fit in somewhere with a good quality ride.
I really expect Chris Rice to take Colleague Racing to Cup at some point.
Did you see their announcement yesterday?
I did not. It had to do with AJ.
Yep, it's a teaser. They're going to announce today.
AJ is going to have Nutrien. I have a feeling.
A full-time ride for AJ next year. That's what it looked like was going to happen. So we'll see.
Because what's the guy's name that he is the spotter for Clint Boyer?
Oh, Brett Griffin.
Yeah, Brett Griffin. He said, I got an announcement.
Yeah.
When they talk about AJ
on Twitter.
Yeah. He goes, how am I supposed to do this if he blocked me?
Yeah.
But I think, from what I understand, Brett Griffin is the one that brought Nutrien.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I knew, that's the way I took it.
Yeah, because he's always had the relationship with Elliott Sadler. They sponsored Elliott when Elliott was running his last 2 races of the year, or of his career, I should say. What else? What else happened at Kansas? Quinn Houff, I should say. How did I do that? Quinn Houff finished 33rd, stayed out of trouble. Xfinity Series race. Brandon Brown, my namesake, finished 13th after getting in that crazy incident. He was in the middle of with Anthony Alfredo. Not his fault.
No,
not his fault. But he was in the middle of it.
Justin Allgaier he was on the bottom and kind of pushed up.
Yes, he did.
It don't take much.
Yeah,
just a little quick.
Yeah. Matt Mills finished 25th, out of trouble. Trucks. Colin Garrett with 24th in the Truck Series. I think we covered them all. If not, I'll do better research next time.
Hey, come wintertime, we're gonna have we're gonna have some different segments.
Yeah.
Come wintertime, because we're not gonna be racing.
Yeah. Like we just talked about.
Yeah.
We have to do more work in the wintertime.
Yeah. Go figure. We got a great show for you. In fact, let's get back to the phone lines.
Yep.
All right, and let's talk to Gray.
Let's do it.
And as promised, we're going to go to the phone lines. We're going to talk to our first guest of the show. This was a good one. I've been wanting him on for quite some time. I've been conversing back and forth with his dad, Dwayne, and finally got it wrapped up. And it's a good time to talk to him too, because 1 week prior he pulled a double at the Roval. So this is going to be a fun interview, and yet another great young talent from the state of Virginia. He's from Colonial Heights, Virginia. He is Gray Gaulding. Hey, how you doing, Gray?
Doing good, man. Hey, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it, man.
First of all, it's nice to talk to you. I mean, I haven't talked to you in forever.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, it definitely has been. But yeah, when I heard about the interview, I was like, heck yeah, man. I love supporting you guys, and it'll be a good time.
We like to hear that. We definitely do.
Well, the one thing that Gray, and I know that you know this, but our goal here on the Racing Virginia podcast is to promote the drivers, the tracks of all forms of racing here in the state of Virginia. And of course, we are blessed to have a plethora. That's a big word for me. Plethora of great young drivers like yourself that come from the state of Virginia. And at first blush, if you look at it, most folks wouldn't even know it because a lot of our Virginia guys live out in Carolina now.
Mm-hmm.
So
right.
So it you sometimes you don't know.
Yep.
But man, we are coming across your story, and just is unbelievable. I mean, the amount of success that you have had, and success at such an early age. Okay, talk a little bit about your racing and how you got to where you are right now.
Yeah, no, it's pretty crazy story, looking back on it now, seeing where I started and kind of where I wanted to go and what I wanted to be. And, I mean, to put it pretty easy, I grew up, like you guys said, Colonial Heights, Virginia. That's my hometown. It's where all my family lives. Had a great time growing up there, racing motorcycles, did a little bit of go-kart, bandolero racing. But I was driving back to Carolina every weekend racing when I'd finally, gotten a car racing. But, the thing is, just like any kid growing up or anybody out there that is trying to chase something, chase a dream, especially in professional sports, whether it's baseball, basketball, racing, you name it. But the odds of, a kid being able to actually live it out, it's almost slim to none. You know what I mean? Especially coming, from a small town like Colonial Heights, and racing is, it's big in Virginia, but, the route I had to go, my family we just had to make the move and say, hey, this is what he's going to do, and we're going to chase this dream. So I'm definitely blessed and fortunate that, my career was able to take off at such an early age and get my name out there and just get rides and get in the top level of sport of the Cup Series. I was 19 years old. So it's been a great ride so far, but like I said, without my family and a lot of great sponsors and people, I couldn't do it. I wouldn't be here today, but like I said, being a Virginia guy, I never forget my roots. I'm proud to be part of that great state of Virginia. It really hits home to me because, like I said, even though, I might be traveling around the country racing and doing all this stuff, at the end of the day, I'm a small town boy, and that'll never change.
That is also what we like to hear, and we hear that a lot from all of the drivers that we talk to, no matter what level that they've made it to in their racing career so far. But I want to go back to your first ride, which, according to sources, was a motorbike when you were about 4 years old. And I want to know, how do you get into that? And then what was the transition from 2 wheels to 4 wheels, and why'd you do that?
Yeah, no, I grew up, always wanting to race, especially at an early age. I was obviously around my dad and my grandfather. They were always racing something, whether it's 4-wheelers, jet skis, go-karts, you name it. If it's got an engine, it's got wheels, they were wanting to race it. So I think I picked up that bloodline, obviously, when I was born. I mean, I remember, being 4 or 5 years old. I mean, all I want to do is ride my dirt bike. And I actually learned how to ride a dirt bike before I learned actually to ride a bicycle. What's crazy is, like, my parents threw me on a dirt bike when I was 2 years old. So I think I've always had that knack for adrenaline and speed. And I mean, even from, like I said, the early age of 2-3 years old, like, that's all I've wanted to do for 20 plus years. I'm 22 years old. So really 20 years is, just race and go fast and ride anything or race anything that's got an engine or 2 wheels, 4 wheels. But what made me make the change to 4 wheels is, my career path, I always wanted to be like a MotoGP world champion. That's what I originally set out to be, is I wanted to, make it to the highest level of motorcycle racing because I loved it. Now, I love NASCAR and I love 4 wheels, really loved watching the sport on TV and everything, but I just didn't want anything to do with it professionally. I just didn't want to be a NASCAR driver. Well, that all changed when I was 9 years old. My parents surprised me with 2 Bandolero cars, and I was like, I was happy, but I just thought it was going to be something we could do as a hobby, behind me running my dirt bike and my motorcycle. So We loaded up. We went down there like, hey, y'all try, four wheels out. I'm like, all right, I'll give it a shot, but there's no promises. Like I was just set on being a motorcycle racer. So we showed up to Charlotte Motor Speedway in the back of our truck trailer. We're up against the haulers. I mean, these people, you could tell, like we bit off a little bit more than we can chew on this deal. Like we were like, I can't believe we're here right now. But the coolest part of the story is I ended up going out there practicing, qualifying, ended up winning my first race out. And as a 9-year-old kid, I was hooked. And I was like, you know what? I guess I'm going to try. I'm going to give the NASCAR thing a try. And, 10 years later, I made it to NASCAR and I've been able to, run the Cup Series and do what I've done. So it's pretty cool deal.
You talk about 4 and 9. Well, starting about 12 is when a lot of things really started taking off for you. And that was when you did the Legends and became the youngest Legends winner, I believe it is. And then you go from there, you become the youngest winner in a Pass Series event, then a K&N. It's been a series. It's been a series of youngest ever. Every step you've taken.
It really has. No, it's kind of funny because I look at, you don't really pay attention to all the stats and stuff. It's cool and all, but me, I don't really care a lot much for it. But it's definitely cool to have and be able to look it up and see it. But like a few months ago, I was just browsing and I just happened to someone tweeted me or something, and it was all my stats and you kind of forget a lot of things because it happened so long ago or you don't really know every single stat, but some of the stats I saw, it's like the word youngest was in front of every single stat almost. So, to me, I think that's cool because that just proves that every series or vehicle that I ever raced, one thing great about what my parents did growing up is they never let me dominate one series. You know what I'm saying? As soon as I was of age to move up, they were moving me up, which I also, it's not like they made me. I wanted to move up anyway because, I would much rather go against the best of the best or the older kids than I would just, continue to dominate what I was doing because you can't learn anything and you're not owning your craft with better people as far as, the competitors you're going up against. So, to win, the K&N deal, obviously the youngest winner in Legends, youngest national champion, it's a big deal because, it takes a lot of hard work, but at the end of the day, like I said, when you're able to look back on those memories and kind of get flashbacks and just appreciate how fun those moments were. Like, I tell people all the time, like, yes, racing NASCAR and running at the highest level it's a blessing, and I'm so thankful I get to do what I love to do for a living. But man, if I could, turn the time back around and just go back to, like a short track race, you know what I mean, like a Friday, Saturday night show, like you kind of take those for granted because when you're racing at the highest stage, there's a lot of pressure and a lot of things that go into it. But as far as the joy of the passion of racing, that's what I really love and appreciate looking back on it is, the Friday, Saturday night show, seeing the local crowds come out and just out there short track racing and beating and banging. It makes you really appreciate that type of stuff.
Absolutely. As you've moved up, in NASCAR's 3 national series, which you've raced in all of them, and like you said, made your Cup debut at 19, there's not as much necessarily beating and banging up there in those series. A lot more finesse and a lot more has to do with the equipment that you're in as well. As you've moved up, obviously it is tougher to jump in and just be immediately successsul. How has the challenges of the top 3 series? How have you dealt with that, and what are you doing just to try to get better and to just try to be more successful?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. A lot of people don't really understand. Some do, but most don't. Like, with NASCAR, especially racing at the highest level, whether it's trucks, Xfinity Cup, you're only as good as your equipment. And I've had a few opportunities here and there. But other than that, my career, I've really clawed my way to get to where I am today as far as, the equipment. I've ran terrible equipment, which, at the end of the day, I think that's what's molded the driver I am today, though, because I've only ran underfunded equipment. So I think, when I'm able to really, hopefully one day the Gibbs, the Hendrick, or, one of those opportunities like that, if I'm able to get into it, that I think that'll really change my career around. I just never really had the fair shake, I feel, in the top three series. But once again, just because that hasn't happened for me yet, I don't feel that anybody owes me anything. I don't kind of play that card. I go out every day. I work my tail off, and every time I get an opportunity on the track, I race as hard as I can race, and I leave it all out there on the racetrack. So I think the challenges, though, that go with it is, sponsorship dollars and obviously equipment like that. That really is the driving force as far as trying to win. Not run, trying to win at this level. You have to have every piece of the puzzle. If you're missing one piece, you can't win. So, we got a few people right now, and we got things working to make that, to change that for me for next year. But, you said something funny as far as I remember the first Cup race. I was 19 years old, and every series I was in previous to getting to, like, Cup and Xfinity, I was winning. I was getting poles. I was up front, lead laps. Well, that was probably the toughest thing for me is to get accustomed to was, I was racing a 35th place car, even though it was Cup. I'm still in a 35th place car, and I'm not joking. I was driving harder not to run last than I ever have in my entire career because every driver on Sunday is talented. Everybody can drive, even. Some guys might not drive as well as obviously they might have the equipment, but everybody's good. And I think that's what took me a little bit to realize is like, there's no such thing as, kind of not going 110% on one lap, going 80 this lap. You have to give it everything you have because those guys are coming, So I look back on my career though, I wouldn't change a thing because I feel like me paying my dues and me running underfunded cars really has gotten me ready for when I do get that phone call. I'll be ready to go out and win, and I already know, what it's like to run the 25th, the 30th, the 50th. I mean, I've run it all, So, I think that was the biggest challenge, but I took a lot from that, and I really like, my path as far as it's not the cleanest path, but as far as learning and getting experience. It worked out.
Sometimes you got to go up a few pegs on the ladder and then back down a couple. And you've had a lot of people. I mean, you were a part of Kevin Harvick's driver developmental program at one time. Jack Roush, his developmental program. I mean, you've had, you were as a young driver, there are a lot of people that I think believe in you, that you can do this for a living.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah. Oh, I definitely think so. I mean, I tell people that are closest to me all the time, if I didn't think I could do it or I didn't think I could go out and win and compete at a high level, I wouldn't be doing it because I only do things. I'm all in, whether, if I'm going to go golfing or I'm going to go bowling or we sit here and play cards, I'm going to do everything I can to win because I'm very competitive and that's all I want to do is win. But, so I think for me, having that support system behind me, my family, obviously, but I've had great partners along the way, sponsors, and even team owners. Me and Bobby Dotter, I drove for him last year full time, and we finished second together again this year at Daytona. He's been a great mentor to me. So I think, if you really look at it, to have those types of people in my corner to lean on for advice and the people that just believe in you, it really keeps you going, keeps you waking up in the morning to work hard and really push myself to keep driving and keep rolling. But I've had, like I said, I've had a couple opportunities, but I look back at it, I feel like I'm more ready now because of what I've learned over the past few years. as far as experience, laps, track time. I kind of got thrown to the wolves so early in my career, and in which, at the time, people asked me, like, why did you go to Cup so early? It's like, that's the only opportunity I had. And when when a Cup opportunity calls, you can't say no to it, no matter who you are. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what happened. But yeah, well, like you said, I've drove for a few guys. The KHI deal was great. I really hate. It was just bad timing for me. The goal was for me to end up, driving in the Truck Series for Kevin, and I was only 13 years old when they signed me. So they were going to groom me up, but obviously, when they shut down, that didn't happen. But it is what it is, man. I mean, I ain't got time to cry about it. It's just part of life.
You brought up something something that I definitely wanted to ask you about, and we'll talk about both of them. Your second place finishes last year at Talladega, and this year at Daytona. Obviously, two completely different endings to those races. I wanted to know, because you were given that 08 car a hell of a run at Talladega. You drove up there and nearly won that race. One, what was that like, knowing that you were that close? And number two, looking back on it, how appreciative are you that you damn near won that race?
No, that was one of the biggest moments, definitely, in my career. I mean, anytime you can say, that you had a chance or you almost won. I mean, you might have not won it, but at the end of the day, all you can really ask for is a chance, right? So I think for me, it was a good confidence booster, but also I'll never forget it. I remember coming to the white flag, and there was I had no help on the bottom, and I had a big run coming down the front stretch, and I remember telling myself, I could sit here and cruise and probably finish top 5, but then after the race or a few days later, I'm going to beat myself up and say, what if I would have pulled out to give myself a chance to win. And so I rolled the dice. That's what I do as a race car driver. If I can go for it, I'm going to go for it. I can promise 10 out of 10 times I'm going to go for it. So, like I said, I got that big run, and I went down there, even though there was no help down there. Luckily, I think I cleared Christopher Bell. I cleared him by 3 inches to get back in line. But it's just so cool to watch it and kind of relive those moments, because there's a lot of drivers in their careers in the past and in the present that will never get an opportunity like that. So I think for me, obviously I wanted to win it, came up a little bit short, but just to have the opportunity and do it for Bobby Dotter, one of my best friends, biggest mentor. It really meant a lot to him because we did it together. He was one of the first people I ever met when I moved to North Carolina. And what's crazy is the Circle of Life. His parking lot where his race shop is was the same shop that when I moved down there when I was 9 years old, I took my first trip in my Bandolero in his parking lot to test it out. And then, 10 years later, I ended up I'm driving for him, and we almost won a NASCAR race. So you really appreciate moments like that, because the Circle of Life, man. It's just it blows you away.
Yeah, you almost did it again this year at Daytona. You were leading under green. You got some green flag laps. You're with Bobby Dotter's car at the front of the pack, and if things had gone just a little bit different there when the Colleague cars got together, you could have won that race too.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that was. I mean, if I had to compare the two, obviously the second place finish was huge, but the one that happened a few months ago, that was incredible, because I mean, that's Daytona. You know what I mean? I grew up dreaming about that place. Every driver that wants to make it in NASCAR, you dream about winning at Daytona. I mean, I don't care whether it's a go-kart race, a truck race, Xfinity, or obviously Cup race being the Daytona 500. That was always my goal, was to win at Daytona. And the coolest part is, having my grandfather there, my dad there. Those guys, they're the ones who made me really appreciate how big a stage Daytona is. And like you said, if things would have worked out just a little bit different, I think I could have won that race. But to finish second, and once again, like I said, just to have a chance to win at Daytona is a big deal. So come up, finishing second, and do it in front of my grandfather up in the suite and things like that. Like it's really cool because I mean, my dad has a picture of me and him. I was 2 years old. It was, I think it was, year 2000. I'm sitting on his lap and we're sitting there watching the Great American Race, the Daytona 500. And then 20 years later, you know, I'm racing there and almost won a race and finished second. So, you know, it was a big deal. But like I said, if things would have, if the 11 would have just went a little bit higher, I think I could have got him. But all in all, still a really big thing for not only me, but my entire family.
You know, we talk a lot about this on our show, that not only do you have to be a good driver, but you also have to be a marketing guy. I mean, you literally have to go out and try to find some partners that you can bring to a particular team. You've had some pretty iconic ones. Obviously, Krispy Kreme. If I'd have been even at 15, I would have weighed 300 pounds.
The fringe benefits of a Krispy Kreme sponsorship, I would have loved.
But now you have a sponsor now that is pretty cool, because sports trading cards right now are a hot property.
Yeah.
And you have a relationship with Panini right now, which is one of the leading sports card companies in the world.
Yeah. How did that come about? I want to know.
Yeah, you know, like you said, though, you know, you have to be able to be marketable, and you have to be willing to do those things for the sponsors and the partners, because without them, I mean, without their support and their funding to put behind my racing, you can't do it, you know? So, yeah, I'm very fortunate to have Panini Trading Cards. The relationship has been going on for a few years now, but the funniest part is the relationship was just going on just by me signing trading cards and doing that. But the relationship, actually, for them to be on my car and to be a primary sponsor, is kind of a crazy deal. We had an open race with no sponsor for Bristol last year, and it was all a cold call. My dad got a hold of Jason, which is the chief marketing officer at Panini, and they just started chatting and ended up coming with a deal, and they wrapped the car like 2 days later. It was just supposed to be a one-off deal. You know, it wasn't a whole lot of money, but they stepped up for me. And then Jason actually came to the racetrack. We had a RV there. We stayed. We played cornhole, and I ran the Xfinity race, and then I ran a Cup race the next day. And we just built that personal relationship. I think that's what's so important about our sport, is with the sponsor, is not just having a business relationship, but also that personal connection. Right? Like I'm comfortable enough with Jason and all the folks at Panini. I could call them right now and just talk sports with them or talk about anything. You know what I mean? Because we have that relationship. So having that relationship is really important to me, and I'm very thankful, because Panini really rolled the dice, you know, to be on a car, because think about it. They have a relationship with basically every driver in NASCAR, because if you think about it, so the fact that they chose me after, you know, they could have chose Kevin Harvick, they could have chose, I mean, any of the top guys, they went with me, and the funniest story is I would have probably never finished second without Panini at Talladega, because Panini stepped to get me the big engine from ECR. They wrote a check for it. They said, because I told them, I said, hey, you give me this engine, trust me, I'm going to give you a shot to win. I'm going to get TV time. I'm going to give you a shot to win. And they rolled the dice on me, and I delivered. And it's just crazy how it worked out. But yeah, like you said, man, you just got to have the sponsors, and you got to be willing to do it. And anything Panini asks me to do, or any of my partners, we have walk-ons as well. You know, you really. You drive on the weekends, but during the week, you got to be willing to almost be like a car salesman. I mean, you got to do anything and everything to make sure those guys are happy.
Absolutely. I like hearing that, especially from a marketing guy, because sometimes you just can't get a driver to understand that, you know, especially here in short track racing in general.
Right.
Because,
well, I mean, you see some guy, you know, I hear stories, some guys, you know, they don't want to do autograph sessions. I won't say any names, but they don't want to do autograph sessions. They don't want to do. It's like, I mean, in my head, I'm thinking, dude, without these guys, you know, you can just take an hour out of your day to, you know, to please these people, you know. So it's just important that you got to do those. But it's not like people are making me. Like, I enjoy it because I like to return the faith. The people that believe in me, and if I have, priorities that I need to take care of for them, trust me, I'm all in. That's just the mentality I have.
Yeah, I don't know why, but the Krispy Kreme, that's I always, get that towards, you and Krispy Kreme. That's in my head because that's how I remember him the most.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
It really is. Like, I see race fans. Before COVID, like the fans. They're like, oh, Krispy Kreme kid. Like that was, that was a while. Not too long ago, but that was a few years back. Like, it's almost like I almost compare myself to like an actor, right? That has that one big role. Like when you think of Tom Cruise, you think of Top Gun. Yeah. That's Maverick. No matter he's made some of the best movies ever, but when you look at Tom Cruise, you're like, man, that's Maverick. You know what I mean? Yeah. So some guys are branded that way, and I feel like as long as my career goes on, I think that's just going to be like my thing. Is like, oh, that's the Krispy Kreme kid. So it is what it is. I could be 30 and people still be calling me the Krispy Kreme kid.
That's awesome.
Well, we're going to have you back on because we're a little short on time, but we didn't even get to talk about the Roval.
We were going to talk.
Man.
We have
some enough time?
Yeah, okay. We got enough time. I want to hear about the rain. What was it like racing in a hurricane?
Oh my God, dude! I'm not kidding. As long as I've been racing and professionally in NASCAR, I have never been a part of something like that. Like, it was. Don't get me wrong, I had a blast. It was fun as hell. Like, it was awesome. Racing, sliding around. Every lap. I ended up telling somebody this the other day. We had to pit because we didn't have rain tires until like they just got mounted, but we had to wait to the next caution to put rain tires on. So I'm out there on slicks.
Oh no!
So I'm just trying to stay on the track. So the caution comes out. They're like, "Hey, you got the lucky dog." I'm like, "Okay, cool." Well, you being the lucky dog, you got to pass the pace car, go around the track, and catch the tail end of the field to come pit. Well, I'm not joking. It took me like 3 laps under caution just to pass the pace car because I was worried about wrecking under caution.
Right.
So if that tells you anything, that just shows how tough it was. And the craziest part, I was running 5th with like 20 laps to go, and my radio went out. I had no radio communication with my spotter, crew, anything for the last 20 laps of the race. And finally, NASCAR figured out that I couldn't hear, so they black flagged me. But realistically, we probably should have finished top 5, top 10. But I think the hardest thing about that whole deal was you couldn't see. I had to one of the pit stops. I'm like, hey, you guys need to build me something. Duct tape a rag, a dry rag at the end of a stick or something. I was going down the straightaway, shifting gears and trying to wipe my windshield because I could not see.
Wow.
Yeah. It was definitely a crazy race. Obviously the Cup race was totally different. You had a little bit of rain or a little bit of wet at the beginning, but it was mostly in the sun. But man, that Xfinity race was a torrential. Man, it was terrible.
Here's a question: Did water get in the car with you, and if so, like how much? Because obviously it was a downpour.
Yeah.
Oh, it was. I was soaked. I was absolutely drenched as far as being inside, and that's why my radio went out. Like, I'm thinking about all the electrical stuff inside the car. It was all getting soaking wet. Like the fact that we were racing in that big of, like, it wasn't just like a drizzle, right? It was a monsoon. Like when they finally threw the red flag, all the drivers started like getting out of there. I just stayed in the car. I'm like, I'll be more dry sitting here than I am getting out of the car because, everything in the car, I'm trying to keep everything as dry. Like even where the pedals are, I was having to take rags and leave them down there because there was so much water getting in the car. My feet were sliding around. Like I could barely keep my foot on the brake pedal. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, trust me. There was enough stuff. rain in there to, screw some stuff up.
And the thing is those windshield wipers aren't made for torrential downpours.
No.
They're barely good enough to get a little mist off of it. But
Well, that too. And I had my defrost wasn't working, so everything was fogging up. So you got, you can't see because of the windshield wiper ain't fast enough. And then I can't see because of the defrost. I mean, it was just an absolute. It was a circus. Put it that way.
Well, look, we talk about this, and this is. I just noticed this. It couldn't have been any worse than having your first Xfinity race be Bristol.
Oh man, yeah.
I mean that's like throwing. That's like throwing meat to the wolves. Like.
Oh yeah. No, I remember my first Xfinity race, man, and we ended up we finished 13th. But I mean, talking about I had raced there in the truck series, but obviously when you go up a series higher, it's going to be more competitive. Dude, I remember thinking like these guys, I just couldn't get over how aggressive, and which I'm already aggressive, but. Man, my first Xfinity race at Bristol, I mean, I was like, man, I need to ball up here or something because these guys don't mess around. So it was it was definitely entertaining.
Well, we can't thank you for taking some time out of your very busy schedule, man. We really, truly appreciate it. It's, again, we like we said earlier, we are blessed to have some really great drivers from the state of Virginia. And to have you on and talk with us like this and kind of let our fans inside your little bubble and see what it's like. Right. Man, it's really cool. I see that you're going to be at Texas, Martinsville, and Phoenix, your next 2 races.
Well, actually, a few things have changed. The plan is I'll be back at Martinsville, so
okay. Cool.
I'm still waiting to hear about this weekend. But anyway, though, guys, hey, thanks again for the time. Appreciate you having me on. And anytime I can support you guys and obviously the state of Virginia and just represent as best as I can, to my hometown roots. I appreciate what you guys do, man.
Well, folks, you can catch him at GrayGaulding.com, GrayGaulding.com. By the way, if you want to sponsor him, you can go there, too.
Go to GrayGaulding.com.
And also on Facebook and Twitter at Gray Gaulding. Thanks so much, buddy.
Hey, man, thank you, guys. Y'all have a great day. Thanks for having me.
See you, bud.
All right, man. We'll see you.
Yet another. Yes. I'm going to say it one more time. Yet another kid. We can call him that because
he's a kid.
Both of us are way older than him.
Yes.
The drivers that we are having on, some of these interviews are just, I mean, it's not because of us.
No.
We just ask a question.
Yeah.
I think he could have gone on, asked 5 or 6 questions, give it to him. He could have gone on for, I mean, that's what you need in today's racing.
Absolutely.
You have to be able to speak. You have to be able to go out and get sponsors. You have to be, and I like what he said, and it's a lesson for all you short trackers out there that listen. You have to take care of your sponsors. And we're going to have, over the wintertime, we're going to have a sponsor and marketing 101. We're going to have some experts come on. Dinah Mullins is going to be one of them. This is something we've been talking about giving some direction to guys.
Yep. It can't just be a name on a car every weekend. Like here's
an example. I tell my guys, they go, "Oh, okay, I need to go out and get $5,000." I said, "Do you know that there are very few, if any, $5,000 sponsors? So why wouldn't just go out and get, every week get $10, $50 sponsors? Even if you have to go see those guys every week to get that $50 cash. Because I can tell you, mama, if you got a little small business and dad wants, or the husband wants to be a part of your program, but mama don't, he might be able to dip in his pocket and give you a 50 rather than write a check from the company, And I also tell them, get free gas, get free food. It's all part of it.
Absolutely. I'll go one bigger than mom and pop. You like Gary V, don't you?
Yeah. Oh, I love him.
Yep. So
content.
Yep. Like all you have to do, keep consistent. It doesn't have to be the greatest content in the world. It doesn't have to be.
Look, I can't dance.
You're not going to do TikTok videos? I'm
going to do TikTok videos, but you ain't going to see me dancing.
Okay. But that's what's popular on TikTok, man.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll dance.
But the point is, like, you just have to just keep consistent. Like Mark Wirtz Great job.
Oh, God.
Great job.
Sometimes I think he works for Duncan.
Yeah.
Swear to God.
Yeah.
If you look at some of his posts, you would swear that he is an employee of Duncan.
Yeah. It's not the worst thing in the world. I
No, it's not. Oh, love me some Dunkin' Donuts.
Dunkin' Donuts.
We need to talk to Duncan.
Anyway.
Again, yet another great interview, but
yeah. We've talked about donuts a lot on this show.
We did. Krispy Kreme.
Yeah. We didn't have like a taste testing.
But it is weird how you kind of associate someone with a particular sponsor.
Yep. Absolutely.
It really is. Great kid. Hopefully we'll get to talk to him again.
Absolutely.
Brandy, you know what time it is?
I think I do. I think I've got it now. I think I understand what's about to happen.
I need to get another open. I like the music. I just got to get some, like a British lady or something talking.
I can try to do like a Mrs. Doubtfire accent or not.
Or not. It's time. It's story time with Randy Hallman. Although we're going to throw you a curve, folks, because we're not going to actually tell a story. We're going to me and Brandon are going to help Randy write his column.
Now we're talking. I need help.
Oh man,
I felt. Look, when you said that
too, man.
When you told me about this, I felt very honored.
All right.
I told Dave, like, did we elevate ourselves to this status already? This is great.
Well, it's not that much of an elevation. Let me tell you. Sometimes I start writing a column and I think I'm digging myself a hole. Is what I'm doing. So you may be lowering yourself to that level. So anyway,
that's okay. I had a weekly column and I felt the same way when I was a sports writer back many moons ago, 10 years ago.
They're hard. They really are hard.
Yeah.
Writing, you have to have a specific talent to be a writer. I do press releases. That's not writing.
Yeah.
So that's the talent. That's the talent too. You got to have. Yeah.
So Randy, what exactly do you want us to help you with, good sir? We are ready and willing.
I watched the race yesterday, the Cup race from Kansas, and I'm. During the race, I enjoyed it. I was, tweeting, and there were several moments that were pretty interesting. After the race, it kind of broke out a debate broke out about whether it was a good race or not, and it was pretty heated, the argument. And believe it or not, there was some negativity on social media.
You're kidding me.
And I'm thinking about the race. And my question to you is, it's the basic, was it a good race or was it not a good race? So what do you guys think?
All right. So as soon as Dave told me what we were going to talk about, I thought to myself, I'm like, how am I going to define what a good race is? And I'm on the spot right now. I was thinking about some criteria. Were you not entertained by that race?
Entertained.
And I think we're talking specifically about the race for the win, the race for the lead between Joey Logano and Kevin Harvick at the end. Were you not entertained by the race? Did it not evoke an emotional reaction for you as you were watching it? And if it did, then it fits the criteria of a good race for the win. Now, here I got a couple other ones for you. Was the race in doubt till the very last lap? Yes, it was. Did it involve driver skill between the two drivers battling for the lead? And it did. Joey Logano was using every tool in his tool chest to keep a better car behind him. He was going low, he was going high, he was screwing up Kevin Harvick's air and doing Harvick had, if he had another foot a couple times, he could have got to his quarter panel and passed him and went on for the lead. But Joey did everything in his power to do it. So it took skill, it was entertaining, and it was in doubt till the very end. And in my opinion, that's what makes a good race for the win.
I like that. I think it's also, it's like some people want to say, oh, there were only X number of lead changes, or there was no lead change over the last 45 laps, or however long it was that they were, that Harvick was dogging Logano trying to get a way around. I'm not one to count lead changes as much of a criteria. You can have 65 lead changes at Talladega, but none of them mean anything until the last 5 laps. So you're just kind of, watching it, and trying to be there to see the big one. Not that you don't really care who's ahead until we get down to the end. And this one, every lead change mattered, really made a difference. And I'm thinking that some of the negative reaction was because Logano has a lot of detractors. People don't like it.
Well, you just took my point, Randy.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that a lot of negativity that probably came from yesterday's race was because a lot of people, I mean, look, Joey Logano's a great kid.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think so.
And there's a reason why I dislike him and I like him, okay? The reason why I like him is he goes for the win. It ain't about points.
Yeah.
He doesn't care whose feathers he ruffles. It just he goes for the win. As a fan, and as someone that if I thought I raced, that's the way, because that's the way I approach sports.
Yep.
Either you win or you're just the first loser, as they say in
and every other.
So I mean, but he gets a lot.
Yeah.
Oh my God, people hate him for some reason.
He seems like he's such a lightning rod because he races aggressively.
Yes.
He throws aggressive blocks, makes a lot of would call them questionable moves that are very risky on the track, and a lot of the drivers, especially lately, have been very outspoken, and fans react to that stuff. If your favorite driver and a bunch of the top drivers are detracting a certain driver, you're just going to pile on him. So, but Joey, Joey is I like Joey a whole lot. I've never had a bad thing to say about Joey.
Now, here's my 2 things.
Okay.
You laid out your thing for a good race. I thought it was a good race.
Yep.
There are things that if I was in control of NASCAR, that I would do. First of all, I'm not really a fan of the package that they have for 1.5 mile tracks. Because right now I think that getting these 3 races heading into the championship race are set up for certain people. Logano, Harvick, I mean, that are really super good at 1.5 miles.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I'd rather see especially going into the final race, I'd like to see a road course, a short track, and 1.5 miles.
Yep.
Then you have
diversity.
That way, the getting into those last 4 guys are good at all of them.
Yep. I mean, you would probably see Chase Elliott just jump his way right into the championship 4. Anyway,
it's hard because consistency, like the old points used to be. It used to be all about consistency, being there at the end and having the most points of every race.
Yep.
Now it's okay. Let's just go. As long as we win, we're in.
Yep. I think
here's another thing.
Yep.
Here's another thing. The playoff setup. We can argue and debate all day about exactly how it's set up and whether any playoff is any good and so on and so forth. But let's say we're going to have a playoff, so they're going to have it. It really puts a premium on, if you're still in it, you got to manage yourself so that you don't have a bad race.
Yep.
You can finish 3rd or 4th, but you can't finish way back.
Yep.
Because it might eat up all the playoff points you got, and then what are you going to do for the next couple of races?
Yeah,
that's where we are on the first race in a round of 3 races. So you're coming down to the end, and you're Harvick. You've got some playoff points. He's really in the best shape of anybody anyway. Yeah. He's probably going to get there.
Yep.
But even Harvick has to have that in his head. And you come down to the end, and he was, as you said, another foot, another couple of feet, and he could tap that fender, and maybe that would be enough, and he could get around. And maybe there were a couple of times, we weren't in the car, we don't know. Maybe there were a couple of times where he could have taken it just a little deeper, and he maybe made that foot. But think about this. If he taps it, and if they both go sideways, or if he gets tapped back when he thinks he's going to get clear and get around, and Logano, as we have noted, doesn't take prisoners, he'll come right back on you. So if they both get out of shape and maybe both go for a slide or into the wall, let's just say Harvick tried it, it didn't work, he lost control. He's not finishing 3rd or 4th or 5th. There are 23 cars on the lead lap. He's going to finish 23rd.
Mm-hmm.
Even if he doesn't chew the car up all off, he just slides and spins around and recovers and gets back going. He's going to be behind 22 other cars, and that's a huge bite.
And that's
out at this point. So,
and that's 20 or 21 points less than what he comes out of this race with, finishing 2nd.
Exactly. He got 48 points, and he would instead of 14 or whatever it would be. So the nature of the beast now is there's enough good cars that can stay in the lead lap and enough ways to stay in the lead lap. You've got your stages, you got your wave arounds, you got your lucky dog, and you get down to the end of the race, and you can't do what Petty and Pearson did in 1976 at Daytona and let it all hang out in the 4th turn, because nobody else was on the lead lap. It was just those 2 guys.
Yeah, exactly. They could have pushed their cars across the finish line.
They weren't going to lose X amount of points by making a daring move like Harvick could have.
Exactly. Now, I don't know, maybe Harvick just couldn't get there. Yep. Maybe he just couldn't.
Yeah.
Well, but maybe he just thought, you know what, 2nd place is pretty good. Mm-hmm. I'm going to take a shot, but I'm not going to do anything crazy.
Yeah. I honestly think that it was a combination of what you just said and the fact that the package makes it so that the 2nd car in line pushes in his heart, pushes meaning push to the wall in the middle of the corner, and it makes it tough to pass. And the fact that Joey drove a perfect last 30 laps. He did. Like, he had a slower car than Harvick. That was shown all race long. And I mean that, given the package and what we have, Joey did exactly what he needed to do and used all of his skill to be able to do it. So we can disagree or with the fans or whatever about if the package is what we want or not, but to call it not a good race for the win you can't call it not a good race, because it fit all of the criteria of a good race.
This is also what we kind of talked about earlier, is that I've always been a proponent, and I thought that with the pandemic COVID racing that we've had in NASCAR, especially on the Wednesday night shows, I thought the Wednesday night shows were better than the weekend shows because they were shorter. Mm-hmm. I really believe somewhere there that maybe we need to start backing these races, the number of laps back. It doesn't have to be a whole lot. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you reduce about 50 laps, the strategy is totally different. And the racing may be even different because you got to race from lap 1 to lap.
Yep. Bit more intense.
Everything's that's what makes short track racing so exciting, is because you're always, you have to drive every lap like it's your last.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we need to get back to that. I don't know. I mean, in the history of NASCAR, they've always been long. It's not like we've changed a whole lot, but a lot has changed with the way America and fans look at sports.
Yep. Attention spans have
is much shorter.
Been contracted by a little bit. But
it's the length of the race became sort of a stamp of it's got a gravitas. You know, this is a big deal. So you got a big race. It's got a 500 or at least a 400 behind the name.
Yep. I personally thought, like, I was laying on the couch, I was watching the race, and I honestly thought the race yesterday went by really quickly. I thought, like, it just felt like it went by quickly.
When you don't get a lot of cautions, it does.
Yeah. But yeah, I was sitting. I went from laying down to leaning up to sitting up to standing up at the end of the race as a race fan, and that's what I want. That's what I want. I want to have an emotional investment in the finish of the race. I want to care about what's going on, and I want to be entertained. And that happened yesterday.
Look, let's be honest. If your guy doesn't win, you're going to be upset.
Sure, sure.
And you're going to say, that wasn't a great race.
That's why you see all of the Chase Elliott wins have a bump in the Jeff Gluck was it a good race poll, because no matter what, no matter if it was an entertaining or exciting race, if your driver wins the race, and Chase Elliott is the most popular driver in NASCAR Cup Series, if your driver wins the race, you're going to like it a whole lot more.
Yeah. It's always that'll be true forever.
Yep.
Yep.
I like that though.
Well, I hope we helped you, and I hope we didn't make it even worse.
Yeah,
because that could have happened.
Mm-hmm. No, it was definitely an assist. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Well, hopefully next we'll get back to a story, folks.
Yeah,
we know everybody loves the stories, so we're going to get back to the stories next week. We can't thank you so much, for taking your time every Monday morning. I mean, it takes a lot to do.
It's a treat. It's a treat, guys. I love it. So, yeah. All right.
Us too.
Well, not the normal story time we would normally get, but that was entertaining. I thought, I kind of to be asked to help with a column.
Yeah. To be asked your opinion on any racing topic feels good.
Good, yeah. Oh, man. Lord have mercy. Whew.
Yeah. It was a good one today.
That was a good one. That was a good one. It's always great to talk to some drivers. Gray's never been on.
That's true.
And to have him on and to hear the way he describes his career and how it's going. Yep. It's really an interesting point. And it's one of those things where, man, he's still young.
He's got a lot of time.
I told you at the Open
to make his mark.
Yeah, but I told you in the Open that I thought that because he was there's so much expectation from him.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because he did so many things so early, 12, 15.
Yep.
It's just crazy. And I look at him and I go, God, he's been around forever, but really. He's not old at all. No. He's still in his 20s, ain't he? Something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, another great show. We need you guys to help us out. We've got some ideas of where we're going to take the show and who we want to interview, but we really need you guys to step up, be the producer of our show. Tell us who you'd like to hear from.
We've had some fans on socials, especially this past weekend. Our last show with Sergio Pena saying how much that they enjoyed it and hearing his. I like to call it their Racing Virginia story, which we got from Gray today. Right. We heard Sergio's last week, and so on and so forth.
And I first of all, thank you so much. Our numbers
are looking good.
Are looking really good. Yep. And that's because of you, the listener, not because of me and Brandon.
Yeah.
It's because you, the listener, has taken your time to listen to this crazy podcast that we like, Racing Virginia, that we like to promote racing in Virginia.
That's what we do.
So we can't thank you enough. If you haven't already done so, Brandon, where can they find us on social media?
At Racing Virginia on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Got our YouTube channel. And, of course, you can listen to us.
Oh, my God, on every pod. If your favorite podcast platform does not have our show, let me know. All right, real quick, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, those are the main ones. Mm-hmm. Okay, you can even find it on Anchor. Where else? There's so many. There's a lot of the podcast platforms that actually pull from Apple Podcasts.
Yep.
So we don't even have to sign up for them. So if it's not on your platform, please let us know. We will effort to get it on there and make it easy for you to listen to the show.
Yep.
Okay. But can't thank you again. Numbers are going up. We love you guys to death. For Brandon Brown, I'm Dave C. saying, keep racing, Virginia.